Welcome to the Madison Miller Podcast. Today is Friday, April 3rd, 2020. Today I'm going to talk about the latest news within sports related to the coronavirus, some NFL news I want to go over, some NBA news that's breaking within the last half an hour, the NBA 2K tournament, I'll make my picks for that tonight, American Idol, the CBS Country Concert at home, the 2018 NFL ReDraft I have in my top 10 NHL games of 2019. All right, I'm going to try to be quick here. We'll start with the coronavirus. The biggest thing to come out since I last recorded my podcast is that the WNBA start to their season will be postponed. It was supposed to begin on May 15th, and they're rightfully postponing it. I think this was an announcement that was overdue. This should have been announced weeks ago with everybody else putting their sports on pause or delay. But here we are. They're still going to do their draft, but without players, fans, and media, which is fine because I get it. You still need to have your draft, and Sabrina Ionescu is going to be the first pick taken by the Liberty in all likelihood. So, yeah, that's big. I think they'll still have a season. But my prediction is that the WNBA will start in July or August and maybe have no fans for the first couple of weeks and then go into the fall, and the season will close out in December. And it would be kind of strange having the WNBA finals at the end of the NFL regular season. But that's how I think it's going to end up going. And the Open may not be canceled after all. That was just a rumor, and the RNA on Thursday clarified that all options are still on the table for the 149th Open Championship, including the possibility of a postponement. And the statement came after Golf Digest reported that Wednesday night that the Open at Royal St. George's will be canceled. And Martin Slumbers, the RNA chief executive, said that they are continuing to work through our options this year, including postponement. Due to a range of external factors, that process is taking some time to resolve. And it's scheduled for July 16th through the 19th. And it's the British Open out in England. And maybe they heard fake news. And maybe it's because the Wimbledon had just gotten canceled and that's out in England as well. And unlike the Masters and PGA, which were postponed with hopes of playing events at a later date, the Digest reported that Open will be scrapped altogether, in part because of insurance policy that protects the organization against a global pandemic. A similar policy is in place for All England Club, which canceled the Wimbledon tennis tournament on Wednesday. So yeah, I just think that it's a little bit of fake news that they from the people that reported that that Open would be canceled. But hey, you still got hope, and I think that worst case scenario it does get canceled, but best case scenario it's postponed. So I just wanted to talk about that because yesterday I said on the show that it was getting canceled, but they came out with a statement yesterday afternoon after I recorded my show saying that it's fake news as of right now. College football, more talks about their possible plans for the season. Brett McMurphy is reporting that a 12-game regular season divided over fall and spring semesters is in play, with college football playoff games in May, or a 9-game conference-only regular season in the fall. So that could very well be the case. I think we're going to have the 9-game conference-only regular season, if you had to ask me. Dabo Swinney is more optimistic, and he really thinks that the season is going to start on time. So Dabo Swinney is obviously one of the best coaches in the business. He's a half-glass-full person, and I really like his optimism. And there's some coaches out there that are skeptical about it, but obviously Dabo's one of the best out there. He's got probably the best team in the country, the team that's going to be the favorite to win the championship this year with Trevor Lawrence coming back. So, I don't blame Dabo for being optimistic. Maybe he's hearing things that it may actually start on time. The one sport I do think is going to start on time is the NFL. But I just think it's going to be very reminiscent of 2011 lockout season where you didn't have OTAs, but you just went right into training camp. And that was a good comparison that Sean Payton threw out on Get Up the other day. And speaking of the NFL, I want to get into some NFL news that has floated out. Eli Apple, who was supposed to sign with the Oakland Raiders as a free agent, is back on the market. Obviously, in my opinion, one of the bigger busts in terms of top 10 picks in the draft over the last couple of years. He was on the Giants. Was okay as a rookie, but just didn't live up to the number 9 overall pick. And then he gotten worse, and then they dealt him away to New Orleans in a trade, and New Orleans had him for a few years, and then he was okay with them. And then the Raiders were supposed to sign him, but the physicals were failed, so he's back on the free agent market, and I'm interested to see who's going to take a look at him. And now that gives the Raiders even a bigger need in the secondary with the failing to get to pen the paper. So we've had a lot of these this offseason, at least 3 or 4 now, with now this Eli Apple thing not working out with the Raiders. Teams that could use Eli Apple, the Dallas Cowboys, Detroit, Minnesota, I think, should sign him or at least take a look. Indy's filled out their need of corner pretty well. Houston should look at Eli Apple. It would be fitting if it was the Texans, because the Texans are signing a lot of former first-round cornerback busts, like Vernon Hargreaves, who was in the same draft as Eli Apple, didn't pan out in Tampa, and then he ended up signing with Houston. And then Houston traded for Garyon Conley, who didn't work out with the Raiders. So I think it'd be only fitting if the Texans signed Eli Apple, because of that theme of ex-bust corners that they picked off the scrap. Eli Apple would just fit right in. And the Chicago Bears quarterback is open competition between Mitch Trubisky and Nick Foles. A lot of people were wondering if Foles was going in there to start right away to help them win, or going to challenge Mitch Trubisky for the starting job, and it looks like it's the latter, although you can make a case it should be the former, and that Foles is better than Mitch Trubisky and could help the Bears, but I think it should be an open competition because Foles has shown no signs of succeeding outside of Philadelphia. He was a bust with the Jaguars. He was a bust with the Rams. And the only place that he's really succeeded in his career has been, of course, the Philadelphia Eagles. So I'm really interested to see how this quarterback thing plays out. And if Foles looks like the Foles from Philly, then it should be Foles. And if he looks like the bust in LA and with Jacksonville, then it should be Trubisky, and see if he can get better. But there's a lot of pressure on the Bears to win. They're a big market team. They traded a couple draft picks for Khalil Mack. Helped them that first season go to the postseason. And then obviously they failed to make the playoffs last year as they went 8-8. And then obviously they pull off the trade for Foles and they signed Robert Quinn. A lot of people are penciling them in as NFC North champions with inevitable regression from the Packers and the Vikings losing a couple key players due to free agency and cuts. So the Bears really have an opportunity here. So if they get the Nick Foles from Philly, then they should be taken seriously as a contender in the NFC. And if they don't, then that 8-8 team they were last year. So the Bears are obviously a very interesting team heading into the 2020 NFL season. Elsewhere in Chicago, there are reports out from Adrian Wojnarowski that the Chicago Bulls have started formal searching for new executive with full authority on basketball decisions. This should have been done a couple of years ago. Gar Forman and John Paxton really have not done the job. Yeah, there's been some bad luck. Derrick Rose tore his ACL. That pretty much derailed them. And then Joakim Noah had health issues. He left as a free agent, went to the Knicks. Or did they trade Noah to the Knicks with Derrick Rose? No, the Knicks signed Noah as a free agent. The Knicks traded for just Rose, and they sent Calderon and a couple other pieces over to Chicago in that deal. And I think the Knicks got somebody else in that trade as well. And that was obviously a trade that did not work out for either side. Robin Lopez was in that deal as well. And that's how the Knicks cleared the cap space to sign Joakim Noah in that offseason. And then they trade Jimmy Butler. Package, it looked good at first, but Lauri Markkanen has not emerged into the player the Bulls thought he was going to be. I'm not suggesting he's a bust, but injuries have certainly hurt him. Zach LaVine was in that deal as well. He is a good offensive player, but he's not a good defensive player. And then there was one more piece in that deal. I just can't think of what it was. It was two players in that lottery pick that the Bulls got for Butler. So that trade didn't work out. And the irony is that Minnesota, now looking back, got more for Butler than Chicago did, because at first glance you thought that was a bad trade for Chicago. For Minnesota. What they got back from Philly was Robert Covington and Dario Saric. And then they flipped Saric to Phoenix and move up in the draft to get the kid from Texas Tech, Jarrett Culver. But he really hasn't shown much yet. But I do think he has potential. But what makes Minnesota look good in that Butler trade is that they turned Covington into a lot of different assets in a bigger trade. They ended up getting Malik Beasley in that deal. They ended up getting a pick. So Minnesota actually did work out, although it took them a while to actually work out for them in the Jimmy Butler trade. So that's a little bit of irony. Yeah, but so the Bulls, in terms of candidates, Nuggets GM Arthurs Karnavois and Raptors GM Bobby Webster among the 6 candidates the Bulls are eyeing. You know the Bulls are going to go big game hunting for this. Them and the Knicks, I think, are in a competition of big name hunting in terms of their next general manager. And I think the more enticing job is probably New York, only because I still believe R.J. Barrett can be a star. Who on the Bulls roster can you say has a chance to be a star? Markkanen, but he hasn't shown that he can stay healthy. There's a lot of other cases. LaVine, to me, is not a star. He's just a ball-hogging, poor man's James Harden a little bit, but is a bad defensive player. He takes bad shots. So I think because of the presence of R.J. Barrett, I think the Knicks GM job is more enticing. Although if the Bulls somehow are in the top 5 in the lottery this year, which I don't think they're going to be, barring some magic, then you can make a case for Chicago. And they do have some nice assets, so there's a case to be made either way in terms of what GM job is more enticing. But Jim Boylan's going to be out of there. They should have been out of there last year. He's the worst coach in the NBA. So they're going to be looking for a new coach in all likelihood too. And if I'm the Knicks and the Bulls, you hire your GM first and have the GM help, or the Bulls' case, new president, hire them, and then they could help out with the coaching search. So you're going to have 3 big market teams looking for new coaches, the Knicks, the Nets, and in all likelihood the Bulls. So yeah, it's going to be a fun NBA offseason, and I might have a guest on to come talk about it. Ryan Berger, maybe Jonathan Wagner. But yeah, I definitely want to get an NBA guest on within the next couple weeks, assuming that we don't continue the season. We'll just look ahead to the offseason a little bit in terms of coaching candidates, rumors, star players that could be traded, and whatnot. Alrighty. Speaking of the NBA 2K tournament will be held today, 7 o'clock on ESPN, so I'm going to do my straight-up picks on who I think will win the first round. 1-seeded Kevin Durant versus 16-seed Derek Jones Jr. This is the easiest one for me. I'm going to say it's Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant, I think, will beat Derek Jones Jr. I think it should be fun. And the funny thing is that this is unpredictable. There's no betting lines, no nothing. So you compete in a single elimination player only tournament on Xbox One. So it's just unfortunate you cannot actually bet on this. Then go to the other side of the bracket. Trae Young, Harrison Barnes. I'm going to go with Trae Young here. 314 bottom right, Hassan Whiteside, Patrick Beverley. This should be a fun matchup. You know what? I'm going to go with a little bit of an upset here and take Patrick Beverley. The 413, Donovan Mitchell and Rui Hachimura. I'm going to go with Donovan Mitchell. That's the consensus pick to win the tournament. And then the 512, and the winner of 512 is going up against Mitchell and Hachimura. And that is Devin Booker against Michael Porter Jr. I'm going to go with an upset. I'm going to go with Michael Porter Jr. Then the 6'11's Andre Drummond and DeMarcus Cousins. I'm going to go with Cousins here. And it'll be Cousins against Patrick Beverley I have in the second round. Because 6'11 goes up against 314. So the 7'10 is Zach LaVine, DeAndre Ayton. I'm going to go with DeAndre Ayton here to take on Trae Young. And then on the other side, the 8'9 Montrezl Harrell against Domantas Sabonis. I'm going to go with Sabonis here in that matchup. So that is the first round of the tournament. And DraftKings, if anybody's interested, has a pool of picks. And then FanDuel has like the betting odds on who is going to win this tournament. So there, without further ado, are my round 1 picks. All right, round 2, I'd have Kevin Durant against Domantas Sabonis. I'll take Durant. Michael Porter Jr. against Donovan Mitchell. I'm going to go with Mitchell. Trae Young against DeAndre Ayton. Trae Young. Patrick Beverley against Boogie Cousins. I'm going to ride Patrick Beverley as my dark horse here. And then it'll be Kevin Durant against Donovan Mitchell in the Final Four. I'll advance Durant. Trae Young against Patrick Beverley. I'm going to go with Patrick Beverley against Kevin Durant. And then I'm going to pick Kevin Durant to win the title in the NBA Players NBA 2K tournament. So I don't know what the odds are for Durant to win it, but that's going to be my pick to win that tournament. American Idol, Sunday night on on ABC. The second half of the top 40 will go, and we'll find out the rest of the top 20. A lot of big names you'll see in this that haven't gone yet. Obviously, the person who I think is going to win the competition, Sophia Wackerman, she'll go. Jovan Webb has yet to go. Perrin York, Jeb Vonderbeek. You'll also see Genevieve. I'm very interested to see if she makes it through. Franklin Boone's going to go. You'll see Dylan James's result, because that's where they left off on the show. I'm interested to see if Dylan goes through. I think that he does. You'll see Sanaya. You'll see Olivia. And you'll see a lot more other contestants that will receive their faith on Sunday night. And you'll hear what finally is the big twist, which is going to be a first in Idol history. And indeed, I think is that you'll hear an announcement of postponing the live tapings of Idol due to COVID-19. So, if I'm right, then I'm right. If not, then I will be somewhat surprised. So, yeah, so my prediction is that you'll hear an announcement regarding Idol taping live will be postponed due to COVID-19. Now I want to talk about the country concert for Home, which will be aired Sunday night on CBS, right up against American Idol. A lot of huge names will be doing this. Darius Rucker, Brad Paisley, Carrie Underwood, Keith Urban, Luke Bryan, Eric Church, Luke Combs, Miranda Lambert, Little Big Town, Tim McGraw, Shania Twain, Blake Shelton, Gwen Stefani. They've all filmed themselves performing while in self-isolation. And this special award show has came together in just 3 weeks after it was announced that the Country Music Awards originally scheduled for this Sunday would be postponed until September due to COVID-19. So I'm interested to see who sings what. I think that Darius Rucker and Brad Paisley are performing together. They'll probably sing a Hootie and the Blowfish song, maybe Hold My Hand, although they did sing that at the CMAs a few years ago as a big group after all the shootings that were going on in Vegas. That was like the big Everybody Sings It song, but I won't be shocked if they sing Hold My Hand. Maybe it'll be Let Her Cry, Only Want to Be With You. You never know. So, Shania Twain, I feel like, is going to do one of her old hits. Maybe, Forever and For Always. Man, I Feel Like a Woman. That would be kind of fun if she did that. Up. I'm Gonna Get You Good. So there's possibilities there. Eric Church, I think, has a lot of possibilities. Maybe he'll sing Springsteen. Luke Bryant, I Don't Want This Night to End, maybe. That kind of would fire people up a little bit. I don't think he'll sing Country Girl. But yeah, he has some options as well. Little Big Town has some options. Tim McGraw will sing something different than what he did at Elton John's thing from last week. Or I should say Fox's thing. Elton John hosted it. So yeah, there's a lot of intrigue with this and who performs what song. I wonder how long it is. Let me check. As far as I'm concerned, I think that this show will be over an hour, unlike the Fox show from last Sunday night. I think this is an 8 o'clock show on Sunday night. I'm just double checking for you guys. They're airing Kentucky, Kansas from 2012 on Sunday. Yeah, 8 to 10. It's going right up against Idol. Same time slot. ACM presents Our Country. So, 2-hour show. A lot of performances. Should be a fun time. Unlike the one on Fox, I think there'll be commercials in this one. So that is somewhat unfortunate. Now I'm going to do my 2018 NHL ReDraft. I'm going to get this done pretty quickly. So without further ado, here we go. 1 Sabres, Rasmus Dahlin. He was really coming into his own this year, so no do-over for Buffalo as they take their franchise top D-man in the number 1 spot in the draft. Number 2, Carolina Hurricanes, Andrei Svechnikov. No do-over for the Canes as they take their guy in Svechnikov. He really has come into his own this year as well. Helped the Hurricanes try to get back into the postseason. 3, Montreal Canadiens go with Quinn Hughes. So they do the do-over. They take Hughes instead of Jesperi Kotkaniemi. Hughes was having a breakout season for the Canucks this season, and he made the All-Star team. 4, Ottawa Senators, Brady Tkachuk. No do-over here as the Sens get their guy in Tkachuk, who made the All-Star team this past season. 5, Arizona Coyotes, Jesperi Kotkaniemi. He had a drop-off from his rookie year to this year, but I still think he has a lot of potential. So they go with him instead of Barrett Hayton. 6, Detroit Red Wings, Philip Zadina. So no do-over here as the Wings get their guy in Zadina. He did have some NHL experience this year and last year. 7, Vancouver Canucks, Evan Bouchard. So they go with Bouchard with Hughes off the board. Bouchard played in a couple of NHL games that really showed potential in the OHL to be a really good offensive defenseman, maybe like a Keith Yandel, Kevin Shattenkirk type of player. 8, the Chicago Blackhawks, Joel Farabee. So they go with Farabee, the forward, instead of Adam Bovequist. Farabee has seen some NHL time. I think that he could be a solid player. 9, New York Rangers, Adam Bovequist. So instead of Vitaly Kravtsov, they go with the D-man in Bovequist. Bovequist did show some potential with the Blackhawks when he played and saw playing time. Number 10, the Edmonton Oilers, Rasmus Sandin. Rasmus Sandin has really improved his game a lot in the minors, and I think has a chance to be a solid contributor in the big league. And they go with him with Bouchard off the board. The Islanders, back-to-back, 11 and 12. Noah Dobson. So they take the guy that they took 12th, 11th, and 12th, Martin Kaut. And at 11th, they actually took Oliver Wahlstrom. Both of these guys, I think, have bright futures. Dobson has played in some NHL games and looked solid. Martin Kaut has seen NHL time as well. 13, the Dallas Stars, Vitaly Kravtsov. So they take Kravtsov 13th. He hasn't seen NHL time, but the AHL he played in, and he didn't really show much there. I think the Rangers were hoping for more out of him, but I still think that he could be a good player. 14, the Philadelphia Flyers. This is the pick they got from the Blues in the Braden Shen deal. Barrett Hayton. Hayton is somebody that's not lived up to top 5 pick status when he's seen playing time with the Coyotes, but I still think that he has some potential. So with Farabee off the board, they go with Hayton. 15, the Florida Panthers. Isaac Lundstrom. Lundstrom is somebody that showed a lot of promise in the lower leagues and saw some time with the Ducks this past season. And they'd go with him instead of Georgi Denisenko. 16, the Colorado Avalanche. Liam Foudy. So they take Foudy here with Martin Kaut off the board. Foudy saw some playing time with the Blue Jackets this past year. 17, the New Jersey Devils. Ty Dellandrea. So the Devils take Ty Dellandrea, who was a higher lottery pick with the Stars. Hasn't really seen playing time in the AHL or even the NHL. He hasn't even seen the ice in the NHL. But he's somebody that has a bright future in my mind. 18, the Columbus Blue Jackets. Oliver Wahlstrom. So they take the former Islanders lottery pick with Liam Foudy going 2 spots earlier. Wahlstrom saw some time with the Islanders but did not record a point. 19, the Philadelphia Flyers. K'Andre Miller. He's somebody that kind of dipped from his first season in college to his second season in college. The Rangers are very high on this kid. He signed an entry-level contract with them. I do think he'll be playing for the Rangers next season. And he's somebody that I think would have helped Philly. 20, the Los Angeles Kings. Almost said Sacramento Kings. That would have been bad. And by the way, the Flyers at 19 took Jay O'Brien. The Kings at 20 take Ty Smith with Rasmus Kupari was their actual pick there. So Ty Smith is somebody that hasn't played a game in the AHL or the NHL yet. I still think this kid's future is very bright. And I was high on him when the Devils took him at 17. 21, the San Jose Sharks. Nils Lundkvist. Lundkvist is somebody that was picked by the Rangers. That's ironic that he has the same last name pronunciation as the franchise goalie, longtime franchise goalie for the Rangers. So, Nils Lundkvist is the Sharks' pick there. That was a pick they got in the deal, the Rangers, that sent Rick Nash to Boston. And Lundkvist is somebody that has shown a lot of promise to be a good defensive defenseman. Number 22, the New York Rangers. Joe Veleno with K'Andre Miller off the board. They go with Veleno, who showed a lot of promise these last couple years in the lower leagues. Number 23, the Anaheim Ducks. Georgi Denisenko with Isaac Lundstrom off the board to go with Denisenko, who has had a lot of potential that the Panthers really haven't played around the idea with him playing for them yet. He's just playing in their lower leagues and just showing off there. 24, the Minnesota Wild. Rasmus Kupari. Kupari is somebody that has shown some promise in the lower levels with the Kings. 25, the St. Louis Blues. Ryan Merkley. They take Merkley here. Somebody that has high upside as a defenseman. 26, the Ottawa Senators. Alexander Alexiev. He's someone that has shown some promise with the Hershey Bears. That's the Capitals minor league hockey team. 27, the Chicago Blackhawks, Jay O'Brien. O'Brien is somebody that, I remember NBC's Pierre Maguire was very high on this kid and said that he was going to be a solid player in the league. But he hasn't even played a game for the Flyers yet. Although, he probably will in the future. 28, the New York Rangers, Nicholas Budin. With Nils Lundkvist off the board to go with Budin, who was picked 27th by the Blackhawks. By the way, the 10th and 26th took Jacob Bernard Docker. The Blues took Dominic Bach with the 25th pick, and 24th, the Wild took Philip Johansson. 29th, the Maple Leafs take Jacob Bernard Docker, promising young defenseman from the Senators. And they took Rasmus Sandin there, who I had going a couple spots higher with the Oilers. The Red Wings at 30, Jesse Yolin. Yolin is somebody that was a second-round steal by the Canadiens. And the Wings take him with Velino off the board. And the Capitals with Alexiev off the board go with Saren Noel, who was a second-round steal by the Florida Panthers. So that was my 2018 redraft. And now I'm going to do my top 10 NHL games of 2019. This was a complicated list to put together. Without further ado, here we go. My honorable mention, Canes Maple Leafs, the emergency goalie game, where the emergency goalie came in for the Hurricanes in a victory on the road in Toronto in a high-scoring affair. 10th place, Lightning Blues, fun regular season game on March 23rd. 9th, Blues Predators, Vladimir Tarasenko hat trick in overtime. That was on February 10th. 8th place, Ducks Panthers, November 21st, overtime game. That was a lot of fun. 7th, Leafs Flyers shootout on November 2nd. If I'm not mistaken, I think Mike Babcock was still the coach of the Maple Leafs at the time. 6th, Habs Leafs shootout on October 5th. That was the first weekend of the season. And the Habs came away with the win. 5th place, Flames Avalanche game 4 in the first round. Mikko Rantanen with the overtime winner, the game tying goal, and then obviously follows it up with the OT goal. 4th place, Sharks Avalanche game 6. Gabriel Landeskog overtime winner to force game 7. 3rd place, Hurricanes Capitals game 7. Brock McGinn overtime winner to send the Canes to the second round. 2nd place, Stars Blues game 7. Double overtime, Patrick Maroon with the OT winner. And number 1, Golden Knights Sharks game 7. Barclay Goodrow overtime winner as the Sharks come back from a 3-1 series deficit to win that series to take on the Colorado Avalanche in the second round. So that's it for the podcast today. I'll be back Monday recapping American Idol and any other news that happens within the sports world and related to the coronavirus as well. I hope you guys have a great weekend, everyone.